it's sometimes a tendency to kind of get tunnel vision on we're hiring for the role we need today and lose sight of, okay, based on where the organization is growing and who we need this person to be growing into in a year from now. I'm always looking for somebody that can kind of grow with us or help even drive that growth. How do you kind of tease out in the interview process? Maybe all the boxes are checked and it's like, yeah, they're going to be a good fit for when they drop in right now. But do they have a propensity towards self-development and growth? Are they the kind of person who's going to be maturing over time and helping lead the whether it's in a formal role of leadership or just like culturally helping us lead as we go forward?
Yeah, one of the ways that we have found that, because I agree with you completely, and not everybody can make the turn as you grow within your business. We've isolated that there are 5 things that we hire for, and I've found that when all 5 things are present, that is extremely helpful for understanding the growth and potential of that person. So we say that we hire for people who are hungry, humble, smart. We hire for their skill and also their fit.
Okay.
Now, those first 3, humble, hungry, and smart, they might sound familiar if you've read the book The Ideal Team Player by Patrick Lencioni. Mm-hmm. That describes the humility, and it actually talks in depth. I highly recommend that book if you're hiring people, because that has been the most helpful book that I have used for hiring. Because you get this idea of what does humility look like? Mm-hmm. Are they just all talking about themselves? Are they going to be a nightmare to work in a team? Or are they going to work with each other? Do they have hunger? Is there this drive that you can tell that they want more, that they are looking? There's a difference between I'm looking for the next thing, and it's someone who's just asking about what are the opportunities? What does this look like to grow? How do I succeed? There's a hunger element that's present. Smart is people smarts, not intelligence. We're talking about, do they know how to read the room? Did they connect well with others? You build those 3, and you kind of assess from there, and you have people who are excellent in those, or even good or excellent in all 3 of those. It's a pretty big deal. Then, of course, there's the skill. They have to have a skill to do the job that they're actually going to take on. And then fit separates into 2 categories: the team fit and the company fit. Both are important.
Fit feels a little squishy. Like, what are you looking for when you say fit? Culture?
The culture, for sure.
Yeah.
When we look here, we have a very clear mission statement. Then we also have 14 core values. So we always make sure that every person who's interviewing has had a chance. We do it at minimum in the culture interview when they're here on their half day to talk about the mission statement. What does that mean? Ramsey Solutions provides biblically based common sense, education, and empowerment that give hope to everyone in every walk of life. Every person who's come on board has heard that mission statement. And then when we've talked about the core values, we know that there are some key ones that every candidate will always hear. Those are ways that you can help people to, one, self-select if they actually want to be a part of that, but also you give them an opportunity to answer the question, well, what does that mean to you? Mm-hmm. Does that resonate with you? What does that mean to you when we talk about being a part of a crusade? When you do that, and then the team fit, there's just this element of, does this work in this environment? Do I have a group of people who's just extremely serious and I'm going to drop this extreme practical joker in the midst? Now, maybe we needed that dynamic because it was kind of a stuffy team, but you want to make sure that there's going to be a fit with the leader who's going to be leading, whether that's you or somebody else, and the actual person. There has to be something that's like, I want to actually spend some time with this person.
Guys, this is why we harp so much on core values. Like, if you don't have those core values landed, you can't use them in the interview process, and you end up getting people on board that are not a good fit, but you don't know why, because you didn't use that as a filter. I really, the core value one, it's super important that that's coming up in the interview conversation. And you've got to be careful because, you've talked about this. The experience you have with them in the interview is the best you're ever going to get them. So if you got to be careful how you ask the question. If you say, do you like this core value? What's everybody going to say? Yeah, that's great. Versus, we're on a crusade, and here's what it looks like. We're crazy. We get out there. We take bullets. It's hard. It's emotional. It's draining sometimes. We're doing work that matters. There's a spiritual component to it. How's that feel to you? That's interesting. If they say something that's more of a hesitant or just shallow answer, like I'm going to drill there versus somebody going, oh my gosh, are you kidding? That sounds like a dream job. Like the old place I used to work, not to knock them, but it was just kind of boring. But man, I want a place that's on a crusade. I want to do work that matters. Like if you see them light up around a core value, you can get a technically positive answer on how do you feel about this core value that isn't lighting up. And I think it's really key that that's a place that you camp and figure out on the culture fit piece. Are they really going to be excited about your core values? Not just in the interview process, they knew about them and they said, yeah, sure, I could do that. That's a great indicator that they're not going to be a good fit.
Totally. And keep in mind that passion looks different for everyone. There are some people who are very passionate and they are outspoken. I can tell very clearly when you are passionate about something. But when I started interviewing developers, I started realizing passion looks a little bit different. It might be quieter. It might be softer. In the culture interviews, I have a team that does that now, especially as we scale. And one of the people who is doing those interviews with me, he said that it really was whiplash. And he's always hired salespeople. And the first time he handled actually having conversation with a developer, he walked away and was like, oh man. And I'm like, man, that person was awesome. And he's like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, passion looks different for that skill set.
This would be a great thing to unpack a bit. Somebody who doesn't have a gregarious personality, how do you pick up on what passion looks like for them? How do you decipher whether it's passion and a more modest personality or no, that's just a lack of passion?
Right. Yeah. Sometimes I definitely have been guilty in the past of judging someone from, I wanted more out of them. I wanted their face to show. Now, most people, when they're passionate about something, they light up. You can see them, they sit in their chair a little bit differently. Their hands start moving. They start talking passionately about it. If I'm ever curious whether or not somebody is passionate, and this is how much you get out of them, maybe they've said the right things, maybe they're a pretty more monotone personality, but you're like, okay, the words that they're saying, we're talking about, they're really bought in. Like they're living in our world, like they're living the principles, they're connected to the core values. What I found a way to find out if they're actually passionate is to find some other area that they are, no question, are passionate about. What's a hobby? Do you have a sports team? Oh yeah, I follow the Lakers. And did they really light up when they started talking about LeBron James? And all of a sudden now you started seeing that they were passionate, and then you realize, no, they weren't passionate before. So I try to compare to something else. But if they were like, oh yeah, I like the Lakers, and yeah, I've been to 150 games. And you're like, oh, okay, passion looks different for this person.
That's good. I like that. That's a good exercise.